A couple years ago, I was on a trip with a friend of mine. He's a typical shy guy, a real people pleaser, the kind of person who's truly good at heart, but because of it, lots of people took advantage of him. They walked all over him, mercilessly. At some point, I remember him calling me in the evening, telling me that the girl he was supposed to hang out with cancelled the evening because all the other friends would not show up. And that's not even the worst part. He had to take the bus for like over an hour to go meet her, and she pulled up in her car at the meetup spot and basically told him she cancelled the whole evening. But instead of apologizing for making him go out of his own way to be at the meetup spot at the right time, she simply drove away without asking if he needed a ride home. Is that what true friends do? So fast forward to about a year in the future, my friend and I are on the trip, and he asked me one question: how can you be so confident? And I looked at him and I'm like, he knew me from before, you know? So he knew I wasn't born confident. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Like at some point, I remember sending him a 5-second long video of me walking outside and a picture of the woods, because at the time I was so anxious, so shy, so weak internally, I couldn't even go outside for a walk. I wasn't even getting much sunlight at all because I would simply stay inside. I was so traumatized from my childhood, it was killing me inside. And so I sent him these pics and these videos, and he told me, wow, you got out of your own house? That is a huge step forward. Congrats, brother. So that's how bad it was for me. So he witnessed my transformation, and I told him this one thing: confidence is not given, you have to earn it. I told him, as you know, I wasn't born this way. But the thing is, when you say you're gonna get up at 6, go to the gym, do some deep work, eat a healthy breakfast, lose the 20 pounds you've been wanting to lose forever, and then you don't actually go ahead and do it, when it's time to get up you just snooze, go back to bed, well, no wonder why you're not confident, because you know you can't even trust yourself. So if something were to happen, if shit were to hit the fan, then you know you can't even trust yourself to do whatever it takes to get out of the situation. So yeah, no wonder why you're not confident, you don't trust yourself. And the way that you build self-belief, trust with yourself, it's to do the things that you said you were gonna do. And he was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And that's exactly how, slowly over the course of months and years, I was able to become more confident, because I started to finally stick to my word, to stick to my own promises. And the more you win, the easier it becomes to win, because you'll build up this kind of winner effect. And so I'd see myself making progress, sticking to my decisions, and I'd feel proud of myself. So naturally, my confidence levels would increase. And at the same time, I started to really exercise properly in the gym. So I built the body of my dreams. I became strong, muscular, lots of people complimented me on it. Guys and girls came to ask me for advice. Like at the gym, the funny thing is, I've been a personal trainer to more people than the actual personal trainer who works there. So I know what it's like to truly hate your life, to be miserable, depressed, broke, lonely. You even have social anxiety. That was the case for me back then. And that's exactly why my goal with this video is not to give you some BS advice you can find anywhere. I'm never gonna tell you, oh, you have social anxiety? Well, just go speak to strangers in the street. Go ask girls for their numbers. What the hell? Only when you have a certain level of confidence can you actually do these things. But when you're so anxious, so traumatized from the things that you lived in the past, that you can't even leave your parents' house, you won't even be able to do that. So it's pointless and useless advice. It's not applicable to you. It's exactly the same thing as telling a beginner, go to the gym, bench 200 pounds. Yeah, and how the fuck am I supposed to do that when I've never even set foot in a gym before? You know, it wouldn't make sense. So the people who give you this type of advice, they have no idea what it's like to truly be socially anxious. Being scared of making a phone call, being scared of leaving your own house. So you spend most of your days, most of your time just playing video games, watching Netflix, doing nothing, hating yourself, instead of truly achieving what you want to achieve, instead of going after your dreams, making them come true, because you're so afraid of the outside world. Now you can't do a thing. And then you enter this vicious cycle of hell. You enter a negative feedback loop, and it gets harder and harder to get out of the situation you're in. Because the more you win, the more you're gonna win. But the more you lose, the more you're also gonna lose. That is typically why when people say, oh, it's fine, I can skip my workout today, it's just this one workout. Obviously, over the course of years, it's not gonna change anything. Just because you skipped one workout doesn't mean you won't be able to build the body of your dreams. It would be stupid. We can't be perfect all of the time. We can't stick to the program perfectly every single day, every single year. However, when you allow yourself to skip one workout, that is not the dangerous part itself, skipping the workout today. The dangerous part is that you set a precedent. You basically allow yourself to give in to your excuses, to listen to your emotions. But the reason why most people don't reach their goals, it's because they listen to their emotions. Otherwise, trust me, a lot more people would be going above and beyond to make their wildest dreams come true. But oftentimes, oh, we don't go to the gym because we don't feel like it. When 2 weeks earlier, we promised we were gonna do whatever it takes to get that summer body. But then when it's the early morning, we've gotta get up at 5, go to the gym, all of a sudden, our goals don't feel that worth it anymore. We'd much rather just stay in bed, waste another day. But you know, we'll promise ourselves, oh, I'll go to the gym tomorrow, so it's completely fine. So when you do it one time, you allow yourself to do it another time and then another time. And before you know it, instead of exercising 4 times a week, 5 times a week, you're only going to the gym like 3 times a month. Now you see, the thing that probably keeps most people stuck, it's actually their own beliefs. They believe that they are this type of person with their own flaws, their own strengths, but they think I can't change. They think they can't become smarter, richer, better looking. A couple years ago when I was broke, depressed, lonely, anxious, I felt hopeless. I never thought I could transform myself to such a crazy degree I wouldn't even recognize myself. Yet if you met my younger self and you had told him exactly what my life would be like right now, what I would be like as a person, he wouldn't have believed you. Why? For no reason in particular other than he simply didn't believe in himself, in his ability to put in the work. So if I've been able to go from so anxious I couldn't even leave the house, I was weak, I was kind of skinny fat at some point, like I was lonely, I wasn't in a relationship, to now building the body of my dreams, building a profitable online business that allows me to truly be free, finding a loving, a fulfilling relationship, what makes you think that you couldn't do the same? It's not gonna happen overnight, but if you're willing to take 12 months and just focus on changing yourself, on bettering yourself as a person, improving your social skills, doing the things that you said you were actually gonna do, you will become so confident, every aspect of your life will be transformed. You'll look back, you won't even recognize yourself. Now whenever I look back at my younger self, I feel compassionate. I used to really beat myself up over the smallest thing. I used to really hate myself. I literally had no compassion for myself back then. And now looking back, I realize I was held back by so many fears, so many limiting beliefs, so many traumatic experiences from my childhood. So on top of all of that, beating myself up, it only led to an endless cycle of self-sabotage. But at some point, because I kept failing again and again, hitting my head against the wall, like at some point something clicked in me and I started to make tangible progress every single day, because that was better than making no progress at all, wanting to be perfect from the start. So I am living proof that within just 12 months, within 24 months, a couple of years, you can truly transform your life, but beyond what you thought was impossible. That is exactly why the first step to actually building godlike self-confidence, it's to believe it's possible. Because if you don't believe it's possible, you're not even gonna try. That's the simple truth. Or if you do try, well, guess what? You will half-ass your way through everything. You won't give it your best effort. You will put in a little work, but just to give yourself good conscience, just to think, oh, I did something, but you could have done so much more, so why didn't you? Like if you needed to only take away one single thing from this video, it's that self-confidence comes from trusting yourself, from self-belief. If David Goggins said he was gonna build a $1 billion company, the guy ran ultra marathons, Moab 240, it's a 238-mile race. That's insane. Because the guy was able to push his limits again and again and again, to control his emotions, to do the things he needed to do, regardless of how he felt. Well, if he says I'm gonna build a $1 billion empire, of course he's gonna do it. And even let's say he doesn't reach that goal, well, he would still get extremely close. He would probably build like a $100 million empire, which most people won't ever achieve something like that because it's massive. But the only reason why it's possible is because he believes in himself. But he wasn't born like that either. You'd look at him now and think, this guy is a freak. But if you had met him like when he was younger, he was extremely fat, had an entry-level job, no goals, no dreams, no aspirations, you wouldn't think this guy would become anything, especially not a multi-millionaire, famous, ultra-marathon runner. So start to look for evidence, success stories of people who changed drastically. It can be my story, David Goggins' story, anyone, as long as it inspires you and shows you that yeah, you can be at rock bottom and still achieve something phenomenal. A lot of people, they want to know how to improve their social skills, how to become better at communicating with others. I genuinely believe it's only possible when you're comfortable in social situations, you're comfortable around other people. But the thing is, you won't be comfortable around others if you can't even be comfortable around yourself first. That's typically why when people go to the gym, they lose weight, they build more muscle, they look better, they start to like themselves more, and they're proud of the effort that they put in, because they had to make sacrifices, to eat better, to go to sleep earlier, to make sure they get enough sleep every night. They had to shop every single day and push past the pain. Sometimes working out is extremely painful, yet you do it because you know that what's on the other side is extremely worth it. So because you become proud of yourself, you like yourself more, and now you become more confident, you're better in social situations. If you think that you're attractive, then it's not gonna hold you back. Whereas if you're convinced that you're so ugly you can't get dates, guess what? Many cognitive biases will actually work against you. The confirmation bias is one of them, because the brain is gonna seek evidence to prove that what you believe is actually true, even if it's not. And depending on what you believe to be true, you also program your reticular activating system to either help you to move forward or to limit you. It's basically a network of neurons located in your brain. It filters out what type of information you'll become consciously aware of. To give you an example, it's like the famous example of wanting to buy, let's say, a Tesla, and now you see Teslas everywhere. Now, does it mean that all of a sudden people in your country started to buy Teslas massively? Not necessarily. But because you notice it, you tell your brain, oh, this thing matters, so your brain will actually notice the Teslas everywhere you go, because it's your brain's way to make sure you'll reach that goal. It's like as a kid, I remember it was pretty funny. I read a lot, so I learned new words all of the time, and every time I learned a new word, I'd start to see it everywhere. So I thought, oh, that's funny, I learned it before it appeared. But it's like, no, I learned it, and then because it was new to me, I showed my brain, my reticular activating system, that this thing matters. So now I was able to notice it, whereas before it was right in front of my eyes. I just couldn't see it. I was blind to it. So why would you choose to adopt a belief which won't serve you? What's the point? You're the only one who knows what's going on inside of your head. Why choose to think that you're ugly, that you can't become successful, that you're shy, socially anxious? Why don't you tell yourself a different story? Because the life that you experience, the reality that you experience, it might sound a bit woo-woo, but the science supports this. It's literally a reflection of what you think. And it's been my experience that people who struggle socially, it's because deep down, they hate themselves profoundly. So they want to hide themselves. They don't want to show themselves to the world. They're afraid of rejection, of criticism, of hate. So they stay hidden away, secluded from the rest of the world. But that is gonna hold you back in every area of your life. So you can't stay like this forever. So if we can find the answer to the following question, how do I increase my level of self-belief? How do I start trusting myself unconditionally? Then naturally, we'll unlock the keys to godlike confidence. Let's say you needed a very important surgery. You choose the surgeon very carefully, but technically speaking, no matter how skilled the guy is, you can't influence the outcome of the surgery. Things could go wrong. You could face some complications, no matter how skilled or talented the surgeon actually is. Yet, before the surgery, you put complete unconditional faith in the surgeon and the medical team, because otherwise, you'd simply never allow the surgery to take place anyway. You'd stay as you are, and your health would only deteriorate. So how come you can put such faith in the hands of someone else, but not in your own? It's because it's easy to put someone like a doctor, a surgeon on a pedestal. I mean, as a society, we have always admired the medical field. But I'll tell you the answer. It's because you only see the surgeon's strengths and not his flaws. Whereas you see all of your flaws, you know all of your failures, all of your deepest, darkest secrets. So you can look at someone and idealize them, put them on a pedestal. You can refuse to see their flaws, but oftentimes we mostly see our own flaws and forget we have a lot of strengths as well. You forget the countless times you have emerged victorious even against all odds. So to increase your self-confidence, start doing the things that you said you were gonna do. Start sticking to your word. If you said I'm gonna get up at 6, do an hour of deep work before my day job, before school, to build the business of my dreams. Start doing it. Make a list of all of the things that you've been wanting to do, all the goals you've been wanting to reach, but you've been putting off for a long time. And then pick a time and date to start doing these things and actually go ahead and do them. Do that for a couple of months, and trust me, my friend, you will become unstoppable. Now, if you want to learn how to build a profitable online business, how to get in great shape, how to improve your social skills and become extremely productive, and if you also want to join a group of highly dedicated people, click the first link in the description below. Now, with that said, what are you waiting for? It's time to get to work.